Hello, my dear children. Good evening. Welcome back to today's online class. I am Radhika, your politics teacher. Children, we were studying Politics, Chapter 20, the Indian Constitution and its legal framework. Today, you have a conclusion part. Children, in this lesson, we discussed about a constitution. What is constitution? Constitution is a set of written rules that are accepted by all the people living together in a country. According to B.R. Ambedkar, Constitution is not a mere lawyer's document, it is a vehicle of life. And its spirit is always the spirit of age. The Constitution of India. It is the longest written constitution in the world. It was enacted on 26th November 1949. It came into effect on 26th January 1950. Indian Constitution is the longest written constitution in the world. According to its preamble, the Union of India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Then what is sovereign? It means people have supreme right to make decisions on internal and external matters. Socialism means common ownership. That is, it is relating to a political system in which the entire society, rather than one individual, own and control the means of production and distribution. Secularism means a state where all religions are treated equally and there is no state religion. And a democratic republic means the head of the state, the president, is an elected person and not a hereditary position. Okay, children. Then after we discussed about the key features of the Indian Constitution. First one, federalism. Governance in India is divided between the central and the state government. Second, parliamentary form of government. India follows the parliamentary form of government like the United Kingdom. The parliament is the supreme institution and represents the people. Then third, fundamental right. The constitution guarantees certain right to the people of India. Then last one, separation of power. The Constitution provides for three organs of the government, that is legislature, executive and judiciary. These are the key features of the Indian Constitution: federalism, parliamentary form of government, fundamental rights and separation of power. Significance of Constitution. The Constitution of a country provides the fundamental legal framework for the functioning of a country's government. The following features reflect its significance as the primary source of all legislation. First one, it provides the basic guidelines for governance. It defines the nature of a country's political system. It authorizes a country's government and put a check on their use in an arbitrary way. It outlines the process of making new laws for the country. The duties and the rights of the people of the country are laid down in the Constitution. These are the important significance. The importance of Constitution or a significance of Constitution. It provides the basic guidelines for governance. It defines the nature of country's political system. It authorizes a country's government and put a check on their misuse. That means their use in an arbitrary way. It provides the outline for the process of making new laws. And last, the duties and the rights of the people of the country are laid down in the Constitution. Then after we discussed about two terms. First one is judicial review. The Supreme Court of India has the right to evaluate a law with regards to its conformity with the Constitution. If the law is against the spirit of the Constitution, it is declared unconstitutional. This process is called judicial review. Supreme Court of India has the right to evaluate a law with the conformity with the Constitution. If the law is against the spirit of the Constitution, the Supreme Court will declare this law as a unconstitutional, and this process is called judicial review. Next, fundamental right. Okay, fundamental rights. A constitution guarantees the people certain rights. The constitutions guarantee certain right to people. These rights are known as fundamental rights. Okay, and these rights are called fundamental rights because neither the legislature nor the executive can override them. These rights are called fundamental rights. Why? Because neither the legislature nor the executive, that means the legislature and the executive have no right to violate the right of the citizen. These rights of the citizen. Okay. That is why fundamental rights are inviolable rights. Okay. Constitutions guarantee certain right to people. That rights are called fundamental rights. These rights neither the legislature nor the executive can override. That means the fundamental rights are inviolable rights. Okay. Then after we discussed about the importance of law. Okay, children, in the constitutions there is a certain laws are there. The constitutions will provide the outlines or a guideline for the process of making laws. Then why the countries are making laws? The importance of laws. That means with the help of law, we can liberate our society from negative practices and customs. Okay, why we are making laws, children? To liberate our society from negative practices and customs. For example, dowry laws in India. Okay, one of the example is dowry laws in India. First one, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. The payment of dowry was prohibited by the passing of the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Okay, these are the example, one of the example. Okay, the important function of the government or the constitutions provide the guideline for the process of lawmaking. That means the lawmaking is one of the important functions of a government. Then why the government are making laws? To liberate our society from negative practices and customs. Then one of the example is Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. The payment of dowry was prohibited by the passing of Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Then another one, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. This is another act. A civil remedy was enforced in 2005 to protect women against any harassments, including those inflicted by her husband or in-laws for dowry. Okay, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. Up to here we already discussed them. Then Today's your topic is laws and dissent. Children, the government are making laws. The government making laws for protecting our rights. Then we discussed about judicial review and fundamental rights. What is fundamental rights? The constitutions guarantee certain rights to citizens. That rights are called the fundamental rights, and this rights is a inviolable rights. Neither a legislature nor a executive can violate these rights. We discussed that already. Then after we discussed about a judicial review. That means the Supreme Court has a right to evaluate the law made by the constitution, made by the government. And if the Supreme Court is feel that this law is against the spirit of the constitution, then suddenly the court will declare this law as a unconstitutional. That process is called a judicial review. Okay, children, judicial review and fundamental rights. For protecting our fundamental rights, the government are making laws. Clear, children? The governments are making laws. But the governments are making different type of laws. Children, nowadays we hearing about the agricultural bill. One agricultural bill, that is why in Delhi side there is a biggest protest. 7 or 8 or 10 days over, they started that protest. They protest in the main road. They are not that means they block that main road and not allowing to move any vehicles in that main roads. Okay, children. Why, children, that the farmers are making that type of protest? Because this law is made by the government according to the constitution. Is it, children? That means the governments are making laws sometime. If we means as a citizen, if we feel that that is against the interest of us, that means that right, that laws us violating the right of us means a citizen, then we have a right to protest. That is why regarding with that agricultural bill, there's some problem. Some problem means according to that bill, the farmers will going to face some problems. That is why the farmers are not ready to face that problem. So they protested. They asking the government to change that law, make a lot of changes in that law. Otherwise, the farmers will face a lot of problem. They are saying. Okay, children. This type of disagreement or opposition against a law is called dissent. Dissent. That means the governments are making laws. If that laws are violate our interest, we have a right to dissent. Dissent means what? Disagreement. Show our disagreement or opposition. We are not ready to accept that law. And we showing our disagreement, not agreement. We are showing what, children? Disagreement or our opposition. We are not ready to accept that law. We are not ready to obey that law. That is called a dissent. Okay, children. About a dissent, through two examples, we can study. One is salt satyagraha. Another one is anti-liquor campaign. First one is salt satyagraha. You know this about. Yes or no, children? In a history you are studying about this. Okay. The salt law imposed by British government. You know that during the colonial period, the British government imposed salt law in 1882. Then what is salt law? The collection and production of salt by anyone without the permission of the colonial authorities was declared unlawful. That means it is punishable offense. Okay, children. During the colonial period, British government passed the Salt Law in 1882. According to this law, the collection or production of salt by anyone without the permission of the colonial authorities was declared unlawful. Unlawful means it is punishable offense. If anyone are collecting or producing salt without the permission of authority, without the permission of Britishers, those will get a punishment. This is the salt law. Okay, children. Salt is very essential item because the salt is considered as a staple in Indian diet. It is very important for making our food. Is it, children? And they impose a heavy tax on salt. The common people can't afford that price of that salt. Okay, suddenly who came here? Our Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi initiated the civil disobedience movement in 1929-30. Okay, then suddenly Mahatma Gandhi launched a campaign, and that campaign was called as civil disobedience movement. Civil disobedience, civil disobedience means the government making laws and we are violating that laws. If we are violating any laws made by the government, that is called civil disobedience. Clear, children? We are not ready to obey that law. That is called civil disobedience. Then, when the British government passed the Salt Law, that time Mahatma Gandhi launched one campaign. That is, Mahatma Gandhi started one protest that was known as what? Civil disobedience in 1929-30 against the Salt Law. On 12th March 1930, he marched with 80 of his followers from Sabarmati Ashramam to the coastal village of Dandi in Gujarat. On his 241 miles long march, he addressed large crowds of people. With each day, a growing number of people joined his march to Dandi as well. At Dandi, Gandhiji picked up a small lamp of natural salt out of the coast of the Arabian Sea and defied the salt law on 6th April 1930. According that, in 1930 April, 6th April 1930, the Gandhiji violated the salt law. Okay, children, that movement is called as civil disobedience movement. Okay, and this civil disobedience movement based on the principle of non-violence. Gandhiji's most important weapon is non-violence. Otherwise, it is called as a satyagraha. That is why this civil disobedience movement is popularly known as Salt Satyagraha. And this movement is based on the principle of non-violence. That is why, and it is related with or it is against the Salt Law. That is why this movement was called as a Salt Satyagraha. This Salt Satyagraha was inspired by Martin Luther King Jr. That is in USA, and he fought for civil rights for African Americans and other minority groups in 1960 in USA. Okay, this Satyagraha was inspired by Martin Luther King and he used the same method for fighting, for getting the civil right for African Americans in 1960 in the USA. This is the one of the example. Then another example is anti-liquor campaign. That happened in Andhra Pradesh in 1991. Children, in 1991, a group of women from the Dubaganda village of Nellore district in Andhra Pradesh began a protest movement against the widespread practice of alcoholism amongst the male members of their families. Okay, anti-liquor campaign started in Andhra Pradesh in 1991. This movement was started by women against alcoholism amongst the male members of their families. Against what, children? Alcoholism. Okay. And this movement was led by Vardhaneni Rosamma. This is the name of leader. Okay, this movement was led by an old woman, Vardhaneni Rosamma. You know what was the result of this movement? At last, a statewide ban was imposed on the sale of alcohol in 1995. A statewide ban. Statewide ban means each state-wise ban. Ban means stopped. The government stopped the sale of alcohol in 1995. Here alcohol means it is arak. Arak means, Charaya. Okay, that was banned in 1995 because of the which movement? The anti-liquor campaign. This campaign was started in Andhra Pradesh in 1991 and this protest started by women against alcoholism amongst the male members of their family. And this movement was led by an old woman, Vardhaneni Rosamma. The result of this movement was a statewide ban was imposed on the sale of alcohol in 1995. Okay, children. Okay. This much only. Then this chapter over. Okay, I am going to stop here. See you next time. Thank you, children.